What's up, everybody? This is Keep in Tune with Carl Schmidt. You already know what you're doing. You're keeping in tune. So, the topic that I want to talk about today is what I wish I knew, right? What I wish I knew is kind of a very broad topic, right? You could be like, well, what is it that you wish you actually knew about? And if I'm being honest, it comes down to a lot of factors in life, right? It comes down to life decisions. It comes down to the recognition of you are your own person and you shouldn't be comparing yourself to others, right? That's one of the things. So let's break that one down real quick. When it comes to not comparing yourself to others, we tend to do that because we have this preconceived notion that we need to be somewhere already when we're perfectly fine where we are. Once you embrace the fact that you are where you are meant to be, life gets a lot easier and you actually are able to start thinking about what you can do to get to maybe a goal that you want to accomplish. Another thing is not everyone's for you. And it's kind of a harsh reality, especially at a young age, to understand. But, me being 28 now, I do completely understand. And I figured this out many years ago that not everyone is for you. Some people have different motives as to why they're in your life. And some people are just not a perfect mesh, they don't fit well. Another one is focus on your goals and passions, right? Like figure out what that is. And the only way, if I had to give some advice on it, the only way to find out what your goals and passions are is to actually accept where you're at, right? So, what I mean by that is when you get to a point where you're having to kind of accept, okay, this is my present moment. What are the things that I want to accomplish? Well, that's just that. You have to focus on the present moment and actually accept, okay, this is my life right now. What do I want it to be in the future? And that's one of the things that I can say is one of the most difficult things that we're going to talk about today. Um, Another one is that when it comes to just say dating, right? I think that dating just to date is pointless. It kind of just wastes your time. And as a younger man, I did do the the opposite. I did date just to date, and it kind of wasn't for a gain, really. I mean, the majority of the time it was just I found this person attractive and I wanted to date them and see how it went, but it wasn't looking for a relationship, a future partner. And that's one of the things that you have to learn, but the only way you learn is by trial and error. Another thing is that meaningless sex is pointless. I've had my fair share of sex and I understand that sex is great. There's nothing wrong with sex. It's awesome. It's a good time. But when you find someone that you have a connection with and you're able to understand that person and their body and they understand you and your body, it becomes so much more than just sex. It becomes a connection of two beings understanding what makes the other person tick. And it can become very romantic and very passionate. Um, Another thing, this kind of goes back to the not everyone is for you. Set boundaries properly, right? And the way to set boundaries are determine the type of relationship it is, right? If it's a friendship, a professional relationship, a partnership, or you're dating someone, or just a familial bond, right? So, like parents, a lot of times people have this preconceived notion that you have to listen to your parents. You have to do whatever they say or you have to agree with them. And that's not true. You don't have to agree with them. You don't have to agree with everything that they tell you to do, and you don't have to agree with what they say. You are an individual. Now, I understand, well, what if I'm not old enough to talk back, or what if I'm not old enough to support myself yet, or what if I can't support myself due to, lack of financial stability? Well, you can still have these views and you just might not entertain the types of conversations that your parents have, or you may not entertain the actions that they perform. Now, you could try and influence them in a different way and give them some ideas to kind of change their mindset, but as you move forward, you will be able to actually become independent from having to do that. When it comes to friendships, I think the best thing to do when it comes to setting boundaries is to understand what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. Like, let your friends know how you are. Like, if this is something that you don't like to do, or it's something that you're not comfortable with, then you communicate that. Those are forms of setting boundaries. When it comes to a partnership or a relationship, communication is key here, especially if you want it to be a proper relationship. And sometimes these boundaries that you set could lead to this relationship not working out. And that's fine. That means that that person wasn't actually meant for you. Because if they didn't respect the boundaries that you've set, they don't respect the relationship or you. Because if you're following their boundaries and respecting them, then that's just it. You're giving them what they need, but they're not providing you the same. Now, there's no, magic number to decide whether or not, okay, they've broken too many of my boundaries, blah, 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 blah. And that's with everyone. Like I said, family, friends, partners. When it comes to professional boundaries, it comes down to the types of conversations you have with the people you work with. Obviously, there's a time and place for everything. And if you don't feel comfortable about talking about your life in the workplace, you don't have to. And if somebody tries to, indulge you in this conversation, you can just nicely and respectfully say, hey, it's not something that I want to talk about. And it may feel bad, right? It may feel bad that you said this, right? You may feel like you're being mean, but a boundary isn't meant to make that person feel good. It is meant to make sure you feel good. So remember, all of these things are certain things that I wish I knew. I could go on and on about the things that I wish I knew. But some of these topics that I brought up tonight are some of the important ones to me in my life currently, and the ones that I continue to apply and attempt to apply in all of these corners of my life. So I hope that you learned something, and I hope that some of the things that you wish you knew, you gained some insight on my own interpretation of these things and how to execute them. And remember to head on over, like, subscribe, scroll down, use your little scroll wheel, hit a little like, hit a little subscribe, comment, maybe add some things that you wish you knew earlier, and then we'll have a little discussion about it. I'd love to hear your feedback. So without further ado, remember, if you want to stay in tune, you need to keep in tune with Carl Schmidt. Hope to see you guys again soon. Bye.